Hi there, Sarah here from Scattered Pictures and Memories, and today I'm going to share a Nature Sketchbook folio with you. And so I've used a Tim Holtz folio, and I've used the Graphic 45 Nature Sketchbook collection. So I've used the 12 by 12, the 8 by 8, the journaling and decorative chipboard, as well as the tags and pockets. Okay, in addition to the Nature Sketchbook collection, I've also used some tags from the Square Craft Tag Album, and also from the regular Craft Tag Album, as well as some of the red Square policy envelopes, the black Square policy envelopes, and the red and black regular policy envelopes. Okay. Well, here's the front. There's one of the Graphic 45 chipboard. The butterfly chipboards here, as well as this flourish, are by Creative Embellishments. That's from the tags and pockets. Oh, and I also used some of the journaling and ephemera cards, so that's where these are from. All the spines have the black pattern paper on them. I just love this butterfly paper, so pretty. Okay. So this just opens by the elastics. Okay. I've covered the inside with pattern paper as well. Whoops. Okay. There's the bottom and the top. And then I made this mini album to fit in it. Now the Tim Holtz folio comes with this little 3-piece cardboard thing to make your inside, but that wasn't enough for what I wanted. So I just created my own album. So it's 8.5 by 6, and I've used the title page from the Nature Sketchbook 12 by 12 on the front, and the other half on the back. Okay. And I just did a string closure. I wanted to echo the closures on the policy envelopes. So I made the circle with the little grommet and a string closure. I also used the black twine like you'll find on the Graphic 45 policy envelopes. So inside, on the front cover, I've got a pocket made from one of the journaling and ephemera cards, and I just tucked a couple of the cards in there. I've got 2 pockets for tags, and they overlap, so you can see. Okay. There's the first tag. Whoops. I've used one of the chipboard tags on the top. And the other tag. These are the square tags. In the back is the black pattern paper. Okay. So there's the first pocket. The other one. And here are the two of the square policy envelopes. So they also overlap. So in my tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do the binding for this so you can make pages like this. Now when I added these to the album, the hinge that they're attached to was showing at the bottom, so I've added a border along the back of each of the envelopes. The borders are just beautiful in this collection. Okay. And there's 2 more pockets. These are for the regular craft tags. Again, some of the Graphic 45 chipboard at the top. And these were narrower, so they didn't have to overlap. So I actually removed about a 1/4 of an inch of the hinge here to get rid of that. 2 more of the square policy envelopes. Love this butterfly border, so pretty. Lots of fussy cuts in this too. There's on all the policy envelopes. There's little fussy cut butterflies. And this is a little folder pocket that I made. There's a belly band across the front in the same butterfly border. And then I made a little notebook to fit inside. It's like a little traveler's journal. So it's just plain white paper inside and some of the 12 by 12 paper and a cutout from the 12 by 12s on the front. There's the pocket. There's another chipboard. And I backed that with the patterned black paper. There's the back of that pocket. And then a file folder page. So I've used my envelope punch board to create the file folder look. There's the inside. And just the patterned edge here so that when it's closed you see that little bit of pattern along the edge. And then the back. And I've added one of the regular policy envelopes here, some more fussy cuts, and I've put a magnet in behind to hold it up. You can fold it down. Okay, so there's more spots for a picture or something here. You can open the envelope and then it just snaps back into place. And on the back, another pocket made with the 4x6 journaling card and a couple more cards tucked in there. All the papers are inked with Distress ink and Vintage Photo. And the base of the album I made using craft cardstock. So that's the album. And now I'm going to do a tutorial to show you how to make the base for this album with the split hinges, so that you can have the split pages like this. Okay, so I'm ready to start the tutorial on how to make the album base for my Nature Sketchbook mini-album that goes in the folio. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is the cover and the hinges. And I'm going to do it on white paper so it's easier to see, but I've done the actual album on craft. When I go to make a mini album, I always start with white paper to figure out the hinges and the pockets and the things that I want to do. So this is from when I was figuring out the album. So I'm going to show you how to do this. We're going to start with a piece that is 8.5 by 10 inches and save that last inch because we will use it for hinges later in the tutorial. So I'm using 8.5 by 11 cardstock, just inexpensive cardstock from the craft store. So there's the first part. Okay, and we also need, for the back cover, we need a piece that's 8.5 by 5. So that will be the back. Okay. Now to make the spine, which is just a curved spine, I made this a soft cover album, so there's no chipboard. I'm going to score the 8.5 by 10 piece, starting at 6 inches. Okay, so that gives us the 8.5 by 6 album. Okay, and every 1/4 inch up to 7.5 inches. Okay, so that's scored. Now you don't have to fold these tight, just gently kind of round it so you get a nice rounded spine for your album. Okay. Now for the back piece that we've cut, it's going to get attached 1 inch from the last score line. Oops, that's centimeters. Let's flip that around. So I'll just make a little mark here. And you wouldn't see these marks because the the cover is going to be covered by pattern paper anyway. Okay. So for my album, I used Beacon 3-in-1 glue or score tape. I find they work best and they hold really well. For the tutorial, I'm just using some inexpensive double-sided tape. Okay, so we're just going to add this right to here, right along there. And now this is 6 inches, just like the front. So there's your 8.5 by 6 album. And next we're going to do the hinges. Okay, so I'm ready to start on the hinges. For my album I had 6 pages, so I've made 6 hinges with a 1/4 inch gusset, so the space between the pages there is a 1/4 inch. Okay. So to do that, you're going to need a piece of paper that is 8.5 by 9.25. Okay, and that's going to make 6 1/2-inch hinges with a 1/4 inch gusset. Okay, and we're going to start scoring at 1. So 1 inch, 1.5, 2, 2.25, 2 3/4, 3.25, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 4 3/4, 5.25, 5 3/4, 6, 6.5, 7, 7.25, 7 3/4, and 8.25. Okay. So I'll have all these measurements on my blog, so if you find yourself not following along here with the measurements, just pop over there and I'll have it listed for you. Okay. So now we want to start folding. So each of the 1/2 inch sections will form a little mountain. So those are your mountains and these are your valleys. Okay. So I'm just going to fold all these. Okay, so there's 2. And you can see the 1/4 inch space in between. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hinges. Okay. And what you're going to do is you're going to flip this over to the back, and again on my album I use score tape, and I'm going to use just the cheap double-sided tape in the tutorial. And on one side of each of those 1/2 inch hinges, you're going to glue it together. Alright, so there is the hidden hinge binding. Okay. So I'm going to grab our cover, and I've left a 1 inch section on either end for gluing it in. So for the back cover, it means you can just tuck it up against that cover piece there. And I didn't glue the center of the spine down because I wanted to have that flexibility there, okay, so that the cover can curve. And so I've just done the 1 inch sections to glue down. Now when you're gluing the second side down, you want to make sure that you line up the first hinge with the first score line here. Okay. Just like that. Okay. So there is the cover. Okay, so for the inside pages, the first thing we have to do is we have to snip some of these hinges so that we can have the overlapping pages. So see how the pockets overlap here, and then the policy envelopes overlap. So the first thing we've got to do is we've got to snip the hinges so that we can make that work. So you're going to snip the first and second hinges at 4 1/4, so right in the center. And I just put my ruler down and kind of eyeballed it. There we go. Okay. And then the third one you want to snip at 4 1/4 again, but this time we're going to trim 1/4 inch off either side in the middle there, and this is for the regular tags. Okay. That might have been too much, but it doesn't matter. And then the fourth hinge you also want to snip at 4 1/4. Okay. And then the last two leave solid, because those are the two folders that are 8 1/2 high. Now you want to trim the edges of these hinges at an angle so that when we go to put the pockets on, that it's easier to. So now our hinges are ready. So for the first hinge here, we're going to make 2 pockets for the square tags. Okay, so for the square tag pockets, you need a piece of paper that's 4 1/4 inches by 9 3/4. You're going to score it at 1/2 inch and at 5 1/4. Actually, it looks like 5 1/8. And then this is going to make your first pocket. Okay, so I'll show you how to put that into the album. So the first thing I did, adding the pockets, I decided which one I wanted on top. So I did the top one first, so it layered over the bottom one. And so on the back of this hinge, I added my tape. And then you're going to put the pocket on and butt that center fold right up against the edge so that your pocket doesn't hang outside the cover. Okay. Okay. Let's just get that in front. Okay. And then I'm going to close the pocket. Okay. So I put the glue here, and then just close this up. Okay. And so that's the first pocket for the square tags. Here's my tag for my album. You can see that it fits in. Okay. So we're going to do that again. So we now have 2 pockets for the square tags. Okay, and that's how the first part of my album works. Yeah. Okay. So I'll just show you that in the album. That's these butterfly. I covered the craft cardstock with the pattern paper. Okay. So for the next pages, I used the square policy envelopes. I'm not going to glue these in because I don't want to waste these. They're too beautiful. Okay. But what I did is I just put some glue on the hinge and put the hinge on the back of the policy envelopes. Okay. So you can see that the hinge is visible there, and then I just used some of the border strips from the pattern paper along the bottom of the back of the policy envelopes to cover up that hinge. And then, so you can see, the hinge is covered and the policy envelopes look amazing. Okay. So I layered two, again, the top one first. And you just, when you attach it, just make sure that you butt it up right at the top. Okay. And then the bottom. And then you'll have two stacked policy envelopes. Okay, so that was the second page. For the third page, this is for the regular tags, so these pockets are a little bit taller. So we're going to need paper that's 4 3/4 by 8 3/4. You're going to score at 1/2 inch. And at 4 5/8 inches. Okay. And just like with the pockets for the square tags, I'm going to put this in. This is page 3. So on the back of the hinge, with your glue, okay. Get that score mark right up against the edge of the album. Okay. And glue there. Fold this in and glue it here. And fold this over. Okay. That's just another simple pocket for the regular size tags. Okay, so I've just added the second pocket in for the regular size tags. Okay, and you can see where we cut away the hinge in the middle so that they'd fit. The next page is another policy envelope one, and so it's just the same as the second set of pages. Okay. Then the fifth page is the little pocket folder. Okay, so for the little pocket folder you need a piece of paper that's 8 1/2 by 10, and we're going to score that at 5 inches in the center there. Okay, fold that over. And now to do the diagonal cut, we're going to measure in 5/8 of an inch. Right there. And up 3 from the bottom. Draw a line connecting those. So get your paper trimmer out and just line up that diagonal line along the cut line of your trimmer. Okay, so there is the pocket folder. Now we have to make some hinges to hold this closed. So this is where the 1-inch pieces we've been trimming off come in handy. So you take a 1-inch piece of paper, and this is the 1x3-inch hinge, so this is going to go along the side here. You're going to score it 1/2 inch and fold it, and then trim your ends. Okay. And for the bottom, you need a 1-inch by 5 1/4 inch piece. Again, score it at 1/2, fold it, and trim your ends. Okay. So to attach these, okay, some glue. So you just want to get the fold right along the edge of the pocket here. If you find your hinge is a little too long, which this one appears to be, it's really easy. You just go in, give it a quick cut, and there, it's perfect. Okay. These can overlap, it's not a big deal. Okay. So we're going to put some more glue here. Here, again, I use score tape in my album. Just fold this over. There. There's a little pocket folder. And for mine, I added one of the chipboard tabs to the side of mine. That's why I made it a little bit narrower than the album, so that I'd have room for that tab, because it's so pretty. Okay, and now there's room in there for the little booklet that I made. So I made this booklet. It's just a piece of paper folded in half, 2 holes punched, and some plain white printer paper right down the center. Okay, and there, see? So we'll add this to the 5th hinge in the album. So just put some glue on the front of that hinge and just line up the pocket with the fold. There we go. So, okay, so for the file folder section of the album, you're going to use a full 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock and score it right down the middle at 5 1/2. Fold it over. And I've used the We Are Memory Keepers 123 punch board. I really like this board to make the tab and around the edges here. Oh, and see, I should have done that one and I didn't. Okay, so for the tab, I'm going to put this in. Okay. Just right at the center at the edge. Okay. And then you want to flip it over. And I took the edge of the paper to the 3-inch mark. Okay. And now we trim this off using our paper trimmer. Let's get rid of this. Okay. So just put it in, and when I trim it, so you can see, I put the cut line just above the curve there so that you get the little kind of flip on this side as well. There we go. And to finish off the file folder, we want to do the edges. Okay, so there is the folder with the tab. I'll just show you that in the album. So here it is in the album, covered with the pattern paper. Because this front side is a bit shorter, because you trim off this edge, that's why I did the different pattern paper here to show through, because I thought that looked really pretty. And then on the back of this is where I put the regular policy envelope. So if you want to do that before adding your pattern paper to the back of the file folder, you're going to want to put your magnet here that's going to hold the policy envelope up. Okay? So there would be a magnet here. We'll just pretend. And to add the hinge for the policy envelope, because you need a hinge to hold it in there, we're going to make a cut in the back of the folder here. Okay? So I think I went up about 1.5 inches. And you can just judge this based on the length of your envelope. And the hinge should be just a little bit shorter, narrower than your envelope. And then just put that in the trimmer. So there's the cut to put the hinge through. And the hinge for this is just going to be a piece of cardstock, 1 inch wide. Okay. Measure here. Okay. I'm going to score it at 1/2 inch. Fold it, trim your corners, and then add some glue here. And then the side that we don't have the glue on, I'm going to stick through your cut. And right up to the fold, put your hinge in. Just glue that down. Okay, so this will be covered with pattern paper too. Okay. So there's the hinge to add the policy envelope to. But since I don't want to waste a policy envelope, I'll just use this spare piece of paper. Trim it down to 6 inches. Okay. So you just put some glue here. Attach this. And on the inside, I'll show you the inside of the policy envelope, and I need to go back and cover this because I forgot, is the other magnet to hold it closed. So I'll get some pattern paper and maybe just punch out a circle or something there. Okay, and then it will hold it closed. Okay. So a magnet here, a matching magnet would be on the flap, and it would hold it up. And now that that's done, I'm going to add the folder to the album. Same as the previous page, just some glue along the front of that hinge, and tuck that folder right up to the fold. Oops. Okay, so we've got pockets for square tags, hinges for policy envelopes, or you could just make more pockets here if you wanted to. Pockets for regular tags, more hinges for policy envelopes, a pocket folder, and a file folder with a flip down. There. And there's the spine. I hope you found that tutorial helpful. If you need any measurements, just go to my blog, and if you have any questions, post them down below and I will respond as quickly as I can. Thank you. Bye.